Good morning, everybody. Let us begin our next chapter, and the name of the chapter is The Summit Within. So, Summit Within means the feeling to reach to the top, that is inside us, the feeling to reach to the skies, to the top, to be victorious. So, let us go through. The chapter talks about one Major H.P.S. Ahluwalia. He was a member of the first successful Indian expedition to Mount Everest in 1965. In the year 1965, India was able to reach to the world's highest peak, Mount Everest, and he was one of the members of that mission to reach to Mount Everest in 1965. How did he feel when he stood on the highest point in the world? What were his feelings when he was able to reach to the top of the world, that is on Mount Everest? Let us hear his story in his words. Let us read in this book what he says, what he feels. Climbing the summit, and then the more difficult task of climbing the summit within. First to climb there, and then how he was able to fight with himself, with his confidence. Of all the emotions which surged through me as I stood on the summit of Everest. So Major Ahluwalia tells us, of all the emotions, of all the feelings which arose through me, which I felt as I was standing there on the highest peak of the world, Mount Everest, looking over miles of panorama below us. Standing there, he could see miles and miles of natural scenery, natural beauty there, a view all around. The dominant one, I think, was humility. And of all those feelings that he has, the most powerful one was humility. Humility means politeness, humbleness. The physical in me seemed to say, thank God, it's all over. My body seemed to be saying to me, thank God, the mission is completed. However, instead of being jubilant, instead of being victorious, happy, joyous, there was a ting of sadness. With this joy, he was a little bit sad also, unhappy also. A touch of unhappiness also. Was it because I had already done the ultimate in climbing and there would be nothing higher to climb and all roads hereafter would lead down? See, he had a feeling that now he is able to reach to the highest peak in the world. And now onwards, in the whole world, during his whole life, remaining life, there will be no higher place where he could climb. By climbing the summit of Everest, by climbing the top of Everest, you are overwhelmed by a deep sense of joy and thankfulness. Once you reach the top of the world, you are overjoyed by a deep feeling of joy and thankfulness to the Almighty. It's a joy which lasts a lifetime. The joy of reaching the mount, the joy of reaching the top remains with you for the whole life. The experience changes you completely. The experience of reaching to the top of the world changes you fully. The man who has been to the mountains is never the same again. The man who has reached to the top of the world is completely changed. As I look back at life after climbing Everest, I cannot help remarking about the other summit, the summit of the mind. As I look back at my life, as I remember my life, the previous life before climbing to this top of the world, I remarking about the other summit, the summit of the mind, the ideas in the mind, no less formidable and no easier to climb. He said, as it is very difficult to climb the top of the world, same way it's very difficult and a brave task to win over your mind. Even when getting down from the summit, even when climbing down from the peak, once the physical exhaustion had gone, when the body feels relaxed and not tired, not exhausted, I began asking myself the question why I had climbed Everest. I had started asking myself what led me to reach the top of the world. Why did the act of reaching the summit have such a hold on my imagination? He was asking, what was the thing that kept on inspiring me, inspiring my imagination, my mind to reach to the top of the world? It was already a thing of the past. It was already a past. I have already reached. Something done yesterday. I have reached the world, the top of the world, and that was gone. With every passing day, it would become more remote. And with every day passing, as the days are spent by, this victory would become far and farther. And then what would remain? Would my memories fade slowly away? What would be with me? Would my memories also gone away? Or they will fade, they will weaken. All these thoughts led me to question myself as to why people climb mountains. All these questions kept on coming to my mind. Why people go to mount? It's not easy to answer the question. It's not so easy. The simplest answer would be, as others have said, because it is there. Because the top is there. Top of the world is there. It presents great difficulties. It presents a lot of challenges before you. Man takes delight in overcoming obstacles. And man of courage, always feels joy in taking challenges, in overcoming the difficulties of such expeditions. The obstacles in climbing a mountain are physical. When you try to reach to the top of a mountain, you have to face so many physical challenges. A climb to a summit means a climb to a top means endurance. The ability to endure things, bear things, persistence, continuance, and you must have a strong willpower. You must have a determined mind. The demonstration of these physical qualities is no doubt exhilarating, as it was for me also. And when you show these qualities, these physical qualities, no doubt this gives you feelings of joy. And no doubt I was also very joyous after achieving the target. I have a more personal answer to the question. I have a different answer, a personal answer to this question also. From my childhood, I have been attracted by mountains. Since my childhood, I loved mountains. I had been miserable. I had been sad, lost when away from mountains, or whenever I was away from mountains, I was not happy. Mountains are nature at its best. You find the best natural beauty among the mountains. The beauty and majesty pose a great challenge. The beauty and the greatness of the mountains present a great challenge before you, and like many, I believe that mountains are a means of communion with God. As many people believe, I also believe that mountains are the medium, they are the means, the ways to have a talk with God, a communication with God. Once having granted this, the question remains. Once having observed this thing, the question is, why Everest? Why should one go to Mount Everest only? Can go anywhere else also. But the answer is because it is the highest, the mightiest, and has defied many previous attempts. Because this is the highest peak, the most powerful, and this has defeated many previous attempts to climb on it. It takes the last ounce of one's energy. If you want to reach to the top of Mount Everest, it takes the last bit of your energy. His brutal struggle with rock and ice. It's a very tough fight with rocks, stones, and ice. Once taken up, it cannot be given up halfway even when one's life is at stake. And if you have taken this challenge, you cannot move back half the way, even if there is the danger of your life. The passage back is as difficult as the passage onwards. The way moving back is far more difficult. And then, when the summit is climbed, there is the exhilaration, the joy of having done something, the sense of a little fort and won. And the benefit of climbing upwards is that when you happen to reach to the top, it gives you joy, excitement. And you have the feeling that you have done something great. You have won a big battle. There is a feeling of victory and happiness. One feels quite victorious and joyous. Glimpsing a peak in the distance, I get transported to another world. Whenever I look at a peak, at a distant place, I myself is carried to another world of nature. I experience a change within myself which can only be called mystical. I feel a kind of change in myself that is mysterious, spiritual, I cannot tell. By its beauty, aloofness, by its beauty, by its grandness, its grandeur, its loneliness, its power, its sturdiness, and the difficulties encountered on the way, the peak draws me to it. The peak, the top, attracts me to it. As Everest attracted me. It's a challenge that is difficult to resist. It's a challenge that you cannot restrict yourself from taking. Looking back, I find that I have not yet fully explained why I climbed Everest. But when I look back, I feel I have not been able to fully explain to the readers what led me to reach the top of the world. It's like answering a question, why you breath? He says, I feel it's like answering the question that why should I breathe? Why do you help your neighbor? Why do you want to do good acts? There is no final answer possible that what led me to. It's natural. He says it's the natural instinct in a man that leads to the challenges. And then there is the fact that Everest is not just a physical climb. This is also the reality that this is not only a physical climb. The man who has been to the mountain top becomes conscious in a special manner of his own smallness in this large universe. The man who has been to the top of the world, he is always aware that his existence in this universe, this whole world, this whole space is very, very small. The physical conquest of a mountain is only one part of the achievement. The physical climb to the mountain is only one part of the success. There is more to it than that. There is something far more than what you have physically achieved. It is followed by a sense of fulfillment. Once you have reached to the top, it gives you a lot of satisfaction, fulfillment, joy, contentment. There is a satisfaction of a deep urge to rise above one's surroundings. There is the feeling. There is a deep feeling inside that one should rise above the surroundings. It is the eternal love for adventure in man. It is that we have eternal love, a great love for this natural adventures. The experience is not merely physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual. The experience of climbing the summit is not only spiritual, only emotional, only physical. This is altogether physical, emotional, spiritual. Consider a typical climb. Just think of a special type of height climbing. Towards the summit on the last heights. Think of that climbing the summit on those last heights, last peaks. You are sharing a rope with another climber. While climbing to the last peak, you have to share a rope with another climber. You are firm in this. He cuts the steps in the hard ice. Your colleague cuts steps in the ice. Then he belays and you inch your way up. Then he fixes the rope and then you inch by inch you start climbing up. The climb is grim. The climb is very difficult. You strain every nerve as you take every step. As you take every step, your every part of the body takes or has to work hard. Famous climbers have left records of the help given by others. Famous climbers have great records of helping others. They have also recorded how they needed just that help. They have also told how that help was needed by them, else they might have given. Even the famous climbers say that if they would not have get help from the other climbers, they would have given up. They would have not climbed the top. Breathing is difficult. You cannot breathe comfortably there. You curse yourself for having let yourself in for this. There are occasions when you start blaming yourself for having chosen that difficult task of climbing the summit. You wonder why you ever undertook the ascent. You ask yourself, what made you to climb these heights? There are moments when you feel like going back. There are occasions when you feel that I should go back. But almost at once you snap out of the mood. But immediately you stuck that idea. You 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 come out of that uh, negativity. There is something in you that does not let you give up the struggle. There is something in you that does not allow you to leave your mission unfinished. And you go and you keep on climbing. Your companions keep up with you. Your companions are there to encourage you just another 50 feet or 100, maybe just another 50 feet climb or 100 feet. You ask yourself, is there no end? During the climb, you keep on asking yourself if there is no end to this climbing. You look at your companion and he looks at you. There is no one else to look at other than your companion. You draw inspiration from each other. You feel inspired by each other. And then, without first being aware of it, you are at the summit. And before you are aware of the idea that you are being inspired by each other, you reach to the top. Looking around from the summit, you tell yourself that I was worthwhile. After reaching, there you have the feeling that it was worth taking the pain to climb. Other silvery peaks appear through the clouds. Other tops of the nearby mountains covered with ice are visible through the clouds only. If you are lucky, the sun may be on them. If you are lucky to witness that panorama, the sun may be shining. The surrounding peaks look like a jeweled necklace around the neck of your summit. The surrounding peaks of mountains look as if they are the part of a necklace. Below you see vast valleys sloping into the distance, and down you see that there are great huge plains that moving down in the distance. It's an ennobling and enriching experience to just look down from the summit of a mountain. This is such a wonderful, joyous experience to look down from that peak. You go down and make your obeisance to which God you worship. And there you happen to bow down and pray to that God who had helped you, who has helped you to reach the top. I left on Everest a picture of Guru Nanak. On Mount Everest, as Rahul Olia says, he left a picture of Guru Nanak Dev. Rawat left a picture of Goddess Durga. His colleague Rawat left a picture of Goddess Durga. Fu Dorji left a relic of the Buddha. One other friend, he left a remain of the Buddha. Edmund Hillary had buried a cross under a cairn in the snow. Edmund Hillary, the first mountaineer there, left a cross there. These are not symbols of conquest but of reverence. These are not symbols of victory there, but of our respect, our love to our Almighty. The experience of having climbed to the summit changes you completely. The experience of reaching that place changes you. There is another summit, it is within yourself. And there is another climb that is in your own mind. It's in your mind. Each one carries within himself his own mountain peak. Each one has his own peaks in his mind. He must climb it to reach to a fuller knowledge of himself. One must reach to that summit to have a knowledge of himself. is fearful and unscalable. The peak within is very terrifying and it is very difficult to scale, very difficult to overpower. It cannot be climbed by anyone else. No one else can climb that summit within. You yourself have to do it. The physical act of climbing to the summit of a mountain outside is taken to the act of climbing the mountain within. If you want to climb to the top of the world, you have to climb the summit, the top, inside you. The effect of both the climbs are the same. The effects are same. Whether the mountain you climbed is physical or emotional and spiritual, the climb will certainly change you. It does not matter whether it was emotional climb, spiritual climb or physical. Undoubtedly it will change you. It teaches you much about the world and about yourself. It gives a lot of knowledge about yourself and your surroundings. I venture to think that my experience as an Everester has provided me with the inspiration to face life's ordeals resolutely. I feel. Now I have the feeling, I have the idea that I can now face the challenges of life with more determination. The conquest of the internal summit is equally worthwhile. The victory to win over our mind is also equally important. The internal summits are perhaps higher than ours, and winning over our internal summit is far more difficult to climb than Mount Everest. So this is our chapter. Thank you.